So there's a dinosaur they keep changing the design of because they keep discovering new facts about him, and that is a Spinosaurus. Awesome looking dinosaur. He was in two Jurassic Park movies, Jurassic World movies, and I'm going to go over the newer version. So let's go into that. Um, I'm going to go through the breakdown of the shapes that make up the head, and then after that, we're going to go over just an organic version of the head. So right away, I'm thinking box, very box-like, right? Long snout. It's like a big rectangle. You're gonna be using your rectangles, right? And it's kind of, I wouldn't say it's like easy to see that, but it's relatively simple to look at him and notice he has that feature, right? The features are obvious. And go down here, draw another, maybe a stack of boxes right there for that long protruding snout. And over here in the back, I am thinking of the actual kind of circular shape to essentially keep him in line. But when I'm thinking this way, I'm thinking these are the initial shapes. You want to think of bigger, then smaller shapes, and then smaller after that. Okay? So these are the big initial shapes if he's looking that direction. His eyeball, or well, his eye area is around here. All right? And then below, he's got the throat coming out right there. Right there. Almost exactly like, very similar like to a crocodile, which is, you know, similar in form. All right, but that's honestly the simplest way I like to look at Spinosaurus's face. All right, so simple shapes. That's it. So I work into that. So let's go over the organic version of Spino. So organically, front of the snout has a little bit of a curve right here. A little bit of a curve. Let's now go something like that. A little bit of a bump, boop, little bump at the end of it. Pulling back. Elongate right there. And we're going to go up right over here and have his brow. That's something that, pretty much everybody has. Everybody evolved that brow. So it guards stuff from falling in your eyeball randomly. It kind of protects the eye. Curve over here for kind of the top of the skull in the middle. And then curve over here for the other brow on this side, right? The other brow in general, we kind of want that as is. And then it shows some of the neck around there. Placing the eye, at least generally, around this area. Curve over here. Down. Curve underneath. Pulling a line down there. Line, line, line. Right over here. Finding the eye is really important because you want to be able to kind of base your proportions from the eye. If the eye is way too big, it's gonna make your entire creature look too small. So you want to make the eye kind of beady and small. There's a little bit of a hook shape in the real Spinosaurus that they didn't really put in. They made into the Jurassic World version. So I am going to do the Jurassic World version here, but I might do another one for the more traditional Spino. Because the more traditional Spino, his eyes are a little bit googly-eyed. There's different stuff going on, but for now I will stick to this version. More crocodilian looking. Going over here, going over the snout. Just kind of drawing it this way. Really, really looks like a crocodile. Curve around here for kind of the back side of this area. All right, going over here on this side, and I'm pulling up right here for the nostril. Want that skin portion as he opens his mouth. We're going to have his mouth open, and that's what's easy about this. If I look at the simplistic version of that, the simplistic version, you can have like a joint right here, and it'll open up very simply, right? There's not a lot of guessing going on there. Down over here, extend. Curve along the bottom, trying to fit it on the page. Curving underneath. Line around here. Pulling down for the throat. Almost looks exactly like a crocodile. It's funny. Over here now. So, like, the real Spinosaurus, like I said, has this curved area right here, which I can tell they hinted at it, but not quite. They didn't quite put it in there. They still... Downward. It's amazing how the differences in Spinosaurus appeared after Jurassic World 3. In Jurassic World 3, essentially there was Spino, but they made him standing. It was just like a different, it's what we knew at the time, right? That Spinosaurus had like just a different, they thought it was more upright like the T-Rex and that it was bigger. But they ended up changing that over time because they figured out it was aquatic. It's most likely aquatic. Pulling down with the tongue. Then we're going to pull up right here for these teeth. The teeth are proportionally not that big. And when I say proportionally, I mean, that's what I mean, right? Within proportion to the creature, it's really not as big as you think. Because when you think of something like a saber-toothed tiger, right, proportionally those teeth are ginormous. But maybe in actuality, right, T-Rex teeth are bigger. Maybe not, I'm not sure. But on a bigger animal, it wouldn't look quite as big. So we're dealing in the game of proportion a lot, like I mentioned with the eye. The game of proportion is really important, like really, really important. If you think of something like a person, and we've talked about this before, is check out my Carnotaurus video or Godzilla video. Think of something like the Hulk, right? That character, the Marvel character, the Hulk. So the Hulk has a pretty small head in comparison to the rest of his body. That's by design. The small head makes his body look ginormous. And that's kind of what we're doing here, right? You don't want to make the eye too big. If the eye is too big, it's gonna make the rest of him look small. You know? You can't just like increase the size of the paper, right? Stuff like that. And so that's kind of what I mean by proportion, right? One thing compares to another. One thing is in contrast to the other. And it's funny because you kind of have to do that. And I would say that's a big problem. I would say some people have a plateau around that area. Some people are like, I can't fix my drawing. I don't know what's going on. And I'll find that their proportions are off in a similar way. It's like, oh, makes it look cheap when like, a character, has like a big head or something like that. It just makes it look cheap, I've noticed. So you just want to be aware of that and keep track of everything. Otherwise, it's not going to really work out. So this is a great lay-in. And now it's a good way to push into the details of what's going on. So maybe like the mouth here, the eye, especially the eye. The eye is and now we're kind of shifting modes, not so much into specifics now. Now we're just going into small details and texture. And I'm thinking, what's going to fold? We're getting into right? The organic matter of the head, like organic, like okay, like how do we make this look more organic than not? And that's one way to do it. You want to, there we go. We want to create folds here. We know he's a reptile. We know he probably had, like I said, scaly skin. And how scaly though? It's not quite as scaly, right, as you may think sometimes because it was aquatic, or I don't know, like you know, like they're not going to be quite as like dried out looking as if you look at something like T Rex. They're very dried out looking. So I think more like a desert tortoise sort of thing versus what's an aquatic reptile? Maybe like a tortoise in the water. Um, it'll look a little like more sheen. You can kind of put that, or you can kind of you can kind of think about that stuff as you're doing this because it is important to think about, and you do want to concentrate on little details at this level, right? At this level, we're just kind of going through and we're finishing off. We're finishing things off. Like I'm darkening certain areas, especially around the teeth. I'm focusing in and I'm thinking, okay, this is going to work. We're going to put in a little bit more right here into making it look like it's grasping onto the gums as this like creepy effect I notice sometimes. Right here. But a lot of animals do have it. And you don't want to make it a little too repetitive. So you want to break up the shapes a little bit as far as how close they are. Just kind of going in and going into this, essentially just kind of going into that first layer, that first mm-hmm. There we go. Curve around the side, kind of going in. And now we take a step back. I kind of talked about this before too. When you're kind of looking at your drawing, you're putting stuff down and then trying to improve on it. But you need it to be put down. I understand some people are very much worried. And now we're going to go a little bit more halftone. I'm using a little bit more of the side of the brush pen now. Um, if you want to check out the Amazon storefront, and a lot of the tools that I use are on there, you can go check that out. I should have a link in the bio somewhere, in the bio of the section here. Go take a look at that. That will do, that will really help out yourself. You can help yourself. You go take a look at that. All those tools there are 100%. Pretty much everything I use is should be somewhere around there, somewhere around Amazon. But there we go. Just kind of putting it down here, going in between the teeth. I feel like I'm flossing him. But something else you really would like to do as well is you want to practice every single day, because I understand that not practicing every day can lead to kind of stagnation. It's going to feel weird when if you practice this every couple of weeks, it's going to feel weird every time. You're never really going to get used to it. You're not going to build that permanent memory that you really want, that drawing memory. It's going to be a little bit more of a rough ride. So you want to be aware of kind of what's going on. In order to do that, you want to be drawing like every single day, or it's gonna stagnate. It's gonna stagnate quite a lot. So it's just something to kind of keep in mind as you're doing this. Let's see. I want to vignette it a little bit, pulling back just a bit. And I want to vignette it a little bit over here by going even more on my side of... There we go. Excellent. Going over here, putting a little bit of that value there. That's what I love about this brush pen. You can throw in a little bit of value as you're kind of coming down here. And see, now we're getting into a little bit more of the half shadow. A little bit of the half shadow right here. Right? And I'm kind of touching it, and you can see how it looks a little bit more dry now, right? The actual brush. Right along here. A little bit. All right. And that would be close to it. We have a lot of the values and the shadows. Throw a little bit of a darker shadow right here underneath the neck, because there's normally a cast shadow coming down. And this stuff, put a little bit more along here, because you want to, the light source is coming from above. So that's kind of something you want to stay fully aware of. When the light source is coming from above, it's quicker and quicker, right? You can alter it more and more and more to kind of fit your needs as you're kind of doing this stuff. Like you want mostly light, and then for it to gradually go down. Gradually go down. I do think it needs to be a little sharper around the eyes, though. Just a little bit sharper as well. Right along here. Creates that contrast that you're looking for. Otherwise, you're not really going to create that sort of thing. There you go. Pulling here. Anyways, thank you so much. I appreciate it. There's a lot of free downloads. I have a free download on how to draw the head of Godzilla. I have like some worksheets you can print out. There's one actual one that's that we sell. The other one's free, but there's one that we sell on Godzilla, and that is the body. That one is, I think, like $10 or something like that. I forget. But you can go over to the Gumroad store. You can go over to the website. All that stuff is there. It's incredibly valuable to learn, because I noticed a lot of people weren't making these. So I started just kind of making them, because I kind of was like, man, where do I get this stuff? So that is pretty much why I started creating all this stuff. But yes, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'll see you in the next one. Okay, so that was amazing. You finished this lesson, but keep it going. Keep the art practice going by clicking this video right here. It's going to be within the same theme, and you want to keep it rolling to get better and better and better and get that art flow going. So click right here.